Hey there, welcome to Bear and Becoming. I'm your host, Juliet, and this is a space where we get to be real about healing, growth, and discovering who we truly are. Each episode, we're gonna get to be able to dive into life's messy, beautiful lessons. We share stories, reflections, and practical insights to help you grow one conversation at a time. Okay, guys, welcome to another episode of Band Becoming. I'm your host, Juliet. And before we begin, I want to acknowledge the fact that we got to the end of 2025. It's the end of the year. Anyway. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe it. Because if you asked me in January 2025, where would I see myself in December? It wouldn't be this. I would not even think about starting something midway through the year and turning it to where I've gotten to. It's been slow, it's had its ups and downs, but I just want to be grateful for the fact that I've gotten to where I'm at. And I'm happy. I'm happy about this. I'm happy about this whole space and moment I've been giving myself to just speak out. I'm finding my voice bit by bit as we go through. And so, as we start off today's episode, I just have to ask, does anyone else feel a little bit sense of exhaustion? Because that's where I'm at right now. I feel a bit tired as I unwind and unpack everything that has gone through the year. And when I think about it, I really, really just wish for a whole week of vacation. That's where my mind is at right now. Oh my God, I want that week vacation. Maybe even a week or two would suffice. But yeah. And as we start off, I just want to say, school is out, everyone has closed. We are in a space where everyone is getting ready to go to shags, see family, spend time with friends. And you think I'd be like relaxed at the time as I'm also getting ready to travel. But I feel like my mind is still on like go mode. It's still on a mindset where I still want to push myself to get things done. I still want to plan for the future. I still want to, get a project here or there done. And I just wanted that today's episode should be a little bit different. Don't expect the normal everyday breaking down into a topic or maybe just dissecting on self-improvement strategies. No. Today is gonna be like chilling, hanging out, just trying to find a way that we can let this year go and unpack without necessarily losing ourselves. And we're going to talk how we're going to close the chapter of 2025. I want to call it a soft closing because for me, I feel like the world around me is making me think that maybe I should sprint into 2026 when personally I would just prefer to walk or even crawl. if I had it my way, I would want to crawl because everything needs to be taken a step at a time. In my own book, I prefer to take things a step at a time. And so, as we do our little healing edit on how we end the year, grab a cup of tea because it's gonna be all right. Let's unpack it. December, the official end of the year month. For me, December is feeling a bit weird because it's kind of that month where our whole algorithm kind of just floods in everyone's 2025 end of year recap, where they get to share their little OTDs of the year. They get to share their little winning moments. We get to share our achievements of the year, what has been done and what has not been done. And we also get to see who we've become. This kind of changes who you were at the beginning and who you were at the end. And listen, I love that. I love getting to see our progress, our improvements, our growth. But if you're like me and you've been in that space where you've just been grinding silently and maybe just being in a season of closeness to yourself, watching those reels can make you feel a bit behind, because you might start comparing yourself to everything that's happening or what other people have been doing, and maybe feeling like you haven't made that much of an impact. And so when I look back at my year, I'd say that I've had wins, I've had losses, I've had days where I could not even come out of bed. I've had days where I was so energetic that I felt like I could build a whole house from the ground up. And mostly, for the most part of the year, I've felt like I've been able to get to a space where I've been able to express two sides of myself. I don't know if not so many people know this, but as I study software engineering, I've been mostly in a space of being able to start up new projects, being able to build apps. But then being in school kind of also made me question who I was outside of my degree or my course or my major. And I felt like I wanted something else that could also define me. And so I've gotten to start into I've done some intense upskilling halfway through the year. I've done some short courses, some things that are even outside of my field of study. And I have even gotten the chance to put myself out there. And honestly, to say the truth, there were days when I felt like, what the hell am I doing? Or there were days where I would feel like I don't belong here, you know? But what a recap video doesn't always show is the behind moments, the behind the scenes moments. It doesn't show how our anxiety builds up while we try to build ourselves. It doesn't show how internally we all just feel like a huge gulp of a mess. And when I think about it, it keeps a lot hidden. Those moments when we have doubts in ourselves, or when we don't even necessarily know how to move forward, those were the most meaningful ones for me, because they were the most impactful, and they decided and determined going forward what I would be. And so I just want to remind you right now that the fact that you survived all those moments, that is the highlight. That is the win. Because without that, you wouldn't know what stepping stones you've had to go through to get to where you are at right now. And I don't know about anyone else, but throughout this year, I've learned how to set boundaries. I've learned how to put myself out there, like I said. And if you've done the same, if you've had to set those boundaries, even when your voice shook, that is a highlight. If you just kept showing up for your classes, you showed up for your job, you showed up for work, and you showed up for yourself when you desperately needed it, that is the win. Do not ever undermine that. And so let's dive into a new kind of segment of thinking where, let's think of it this way. When, no, not necessarily even when, let's think about it like if you had a suitcase. Yeah, if you had a suitcase and you were told to pack some things from 2025 and put them in that suitcase, and those are the things that you would get to decide on where, on how you carry them into 2026. So, what exactly in 2025 would you carry into 2026? And this is a small suitcase. It's not that huge. It's a very small suitcase, and you have to choose only the essential things to put in there. What exactly would you be living in 2025? When I think about it, me personally, what would I live? I would live as the sense of imposter syndrome. Yeah, I would live the fear of being seen, because honestly this year I had the opportunity to co-host in an episode for That's What She Said podcast. And during my whole time there, during the whole training that we were given, I remember feeling like I did not have a voice. I remember feeling like, do I really have something to say? And there were moments when I'd question on why would anyone even listen to me, you know? But when I got to be in that space with young women and listen to their voices, they got to empower me myself, because I got to see and just listen to what other people have to say, because people have different lives. And there's this word that a friend of mine uses a lot of the times. It's called Sonda. He's a fan of the Sonda artist, and I'd say I grasped something from it, because Sonda means that every single person has a unique life to them. They're their own main characters to their story. And what that means is that when I was in that space and that training, I got to see that people live completely different lives out there. People have unique lives. I got to see what women actually get to go through out there. I got to live through their eyes. I got to learn a thing or the other from them. And I would say I loved that space, because I got to also build a bond that I never even knew I needed. And so as I'm going into 2026, I am I am I am leaving that feeling behind. I am leaving the feeling of I don't belong or I don't have a voice, because by doing it, it also helps me. It helps me to be able to build numerous and unlimited things in the future. But basically, that was just a classic imposter syndrome. And it's what actually gave me the courage and the opportunity to even start this little project of mine where I could have a voice for myself. And so here we are. If you ever asked what was the origin story for the podcast, that was it. That was the conception of Then Becoming. And so, like I said, 2026 is going to be a year of where I leave the fear of being heard behind. And I'm done hiding my ideas in draft folders. I'm done thinking I'm not ready enough to take up a certain space, whether it's in the tech or it's in the media or in the social space. And I'm done shrinking myself. I'm done limiting myself to all the limitless things that I can get done and achieve in life. And so I ask you, what about you? What is too heavy for you to carry into 2026 January. Maybe it's not maybe it's not as significant as you might imagine, or maybe it's comparing your life to your friends. Maybe it's the idea that you need to be fixed before you get the chance to be happy. But I'd say take a second and just visualize it and think of what could become if you let that go. What could you achieve? And let yourself achieve it. And so I just say, for me, one thing I'm leaving in 2025 December is the imposter syndrome. I'm going to leave it in December, and that's it. Okay. One thing I've also wanted to talk about is, oh my God, I think this is going to just be on everybody. New Year resolutions. Because everyone I know, January inakwanga tu, what is the New Year resolution for you? Our parents all ask us that. They ask us, what do you plan to achieve? You know? And for me, I've always had it. I've always had that one draft of the beginning of the year. I'm going to write things down. I'm going to put things out there, like draft it up, get that perfect weight, get good grades, have time to spend with my family and friends, be intentional with a lot of things. But I don't know if it's a universal thing, because New Year resolutions usually just remain in January. I never see that draft again after February. I don't even know where the one I wrote this year is. I have no idea. But come to think of it, as I dive into 2026, I think I want to take a different route, because maybe if I change the name, it would give a completely different impact. And so I want to call it Gentle Intentions, because one thing with New Year resolutions is that it brings a kind of pressure with it. Like I said, I want to get things done. I want to do this and this. I want to do this and that. And my relationship with that, it's just too aggressive. It has a lot of pressure. I do not want that pressure. And so I just want a gentle intention of getting all that done. And so for this healing edit, I want to swap it. For resolutions, let's put gentle intentions and just change your perspective around the whole idea. Maybe, just maybe, it might help. How are we going to do this? So, instead of a rigid goal, like listing down everything you want to accomplish, how about let's focus on the feeling of accomplishing all those things? Because for me, since I'm heading back to school next year, I'm thinking about good grades, obviously. I'm thinking about being able to balance this side of me, this artistic side, and also being able to manage with my schoolwork, my studies, my technical side. Because truth be told, half of the week I spend it coding and or just building an app. And the other half, I want it to also be intentional and just be able to be consistent with this. And so I want to build that harmony around these two aspects of myself. To begin with, maybe for you, the intention is simple. It might be, I want to feel at home in my body, or I want to create a form. I want to create from a place of rest and not panic. If you're a creator, it might be that you just want to find yourself in a certain era. Maybe you're in an era of finding yourself, or just being at peace with who you are, And so listen, however you decide to spend this last few days of the year, whether you decide to binge watch a few movies like I'm planning to do, or working on a project, finishing up, or just partying, if you decide to, yeah, you go put it out there. Just give yourself some grace, you know, because the year has come to an end. We've done this and that. We've cried, we've laughed, we've we've eaten every single thing we could try out. We've read all the books we could. You've done so much that this year has been quite the journey. And so you deserve that grace. We all have done so much heavy lifting that the version of ourselves or myself that might be listening to this is so much more wiser and older and stronger than 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 the version of myself that started the year. And I'm sure if I could go back and look at the person I was at the beginning, I wouldn't regret anything. I might have had a few moments where I felt defeated, I felt powerless, but I got through it. We all got through it. The year has had ups and downs that we have overcome, and that's how much grace you should give yourself. You are able to get to the end. And so, as we wrap up, I just want to say this is the first year of this project that I began. I didn't have a script. I didn't know where to start. I just did. It hasn't been perfect. It hasn't been as easy as I thought, but I didn't think it would be easy because nothing good ever is. And so I want to appreciate the fact that this is the year where I took that step to get out of my comfort zone to get a lot of things done. And this is me. This is a side of me I want to appreciate. And this little project, I'm just so grateful for it. I'm happy about it and I'm thankful for it. And I really cannot wait for what next year has to bring.